I'm Rupa Mooker. I graduated in 2000, I qualified in 2003, and I've spent the majority of my career specialising in employment law.
My name is Harley Kirk. I graduated from my LLB in 2023. I'll be starting my traineeship this month, so I'm at the very beginning of my legal career and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to specialise in.
So controversially, I actually never wanted to become a solicitor. I wanted to be a TV presenter, but I got really good grades at school, and coming from an Indian background, my parents sort of encouraged me to go and do something professional. So I decided law because I was quite good at English and I liked talking.
Very similarly, I done very well in school and I come from a single parent background. So I really wanted to push myself and I decided to go and do law.
So this is a photo of my mum and dad when they just got married. And I love the photos anyway because they were just so young and they look amazing. But I suppose for me it's just a wee reminder of how far we've come. My dad came to the country just before he got married, and they got married in 1977. And in India he was a professor of chemistry and he was doing really well. But unfortunately when he came to this country he couldn't really get a job because he had a turban and a beard, and at that point people really weren't taking on people with turbans and beards. So he came here and he became a bus conductor. And so for me, when I look at these photos, and this is them starting again from scratch, I suppose, if you look at what my dad had to do. So my mum and my dad were both very, very insistent at both myself and my brother getting a really good education and going on to do well and working hard. And it's really nice to think that we've both managed to do that and I guess made them proud. So it's just a nice wee reminder of where we started and where we are now. So I always like to look at it, and plus they are really nice photos.
They're lovely.
Yeah, I've got my eye on both of those saris, so my mum's kept them nice for me. And what about you? You've got a brilliant photo there.
Yeah, so this photo is from my graduation last year. It's really important to me also because I said I'm from a single parent household, so that's my mum there. But I always find it funny looking at this photo because it was such a proud day because I graduated with a first class, but then always thinking about my graduation, like to this day, I still think that someone's gonna come and tell me, well, you don't deserve that, or like a really bad imposter syndrome. And obviously you touched on that earlier, you suffered with that a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I started, I'd grown up working in my mum and dad's newsagent, post office, and I was coming into this environment where people were talking about their summer placements and all their work experiences. And that time I worked in you're much younger, so it's called Morrison's now, but it was called Safeway back in the day. And that was my work experience. So I did feel a little bit like I don't really know what I'm doing. So that imposter syndrome, I suppose, is something that you're obviously, like, do you even feel that now?
I still feel that now, yeah, definitely. And as you're saying with work experience, I found it hard to find work experience in a law firm or something, but I worked in many jobs when I was at uni, and I think that's just important. You learn so many skills with different part-time jobs.
Yeah, it's really important, and I always remember getting a really good bit of advice, which was just, don't focus on what everybody else around you is doing. Just focus on what you are doing and you'll be absolutely fine. But it's interesting, the imposter syndrome, I mean, I'm 20 years ahead of you in my career, but there's still bits where you do feel that coming in. And I was fortunate though that I had good people around me, a good team around me who were always very supportive. So I think you'll find your people and you'll find people that will help you and kind of guide you, and just always be really confident in your own abilities. I think the challenges facing the Scottish profession at the moment is probably we're so rooted in tradition and doing things in a certain way, and I feel that to be relevant and current, the Scottish legal profession probably needs to move on a little bit quicker with all the advances in technology that are happening.
From an individual point of view, I'd say that the inequality and the lack of access to the legal profession for students from a lower socioeconomic background is still a challenge facing the legal profession.
So what made you decide to apply for law in the first place?
So I remember in school a teacher vividly telling me that I wasn't smart enough to do law, and then when I kind of took a look around, like on my street, Nobody was a lawyer, no one was in a high profession, but I ended up getting really good grades and I was like, I'm going to go for this. Then when I got to uni, it was another shock. I didn't feel welcome almost, because I felt I'm from a lower background. A lot of my friends are from like higher backgrounds, but they still welcomed me, of course. But like personally inside, I felt that I was like an outsider. And then on top of that, there was like resources like laptops, study books, which are quite expensive. If you're from a lower background, I thought that was quite a challenge.
And when you were at uni, did you get help with any of that? Was there, things that you could apply for, or did anyone sort of guide you in the right direction?
Yeah, of course. So there's far more accessibility now to student loans and bursaries, and of course I'm a Lawscot Foundation scholar, so that definitely helped me throughout my whole university career. But I think it's making students that are in school more aware of the options that they have and that they can go for it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, something that does need to start at school level. And actually recently, just before the schools kind of all broke up for summer holidays, I was invited into a few schools just to speak about the experiences, because again, I think when you're in 5th year and 6th year, you don't necessarily have access to that sort of information. So I think that more and more places are trying to really help students from different backgrounds to get into law and tell them a wee bit more about what it's like. So for example, your experience, that's something that students should know about. The one thing that I'd hope to see change in the next 75 years is definitely diversity within the profession. I started over 20 years ago and it's certainly been improved since then, but there's still quite a long way to go.
I totally agree. I hope to see a more diverse workforce in the next 75 years. Rupa, I know you mentioned about how it was hard to be seen. I just want you to touch on how important it is for visibility in the workplace.
Yeah, that's something that actually was really important to me when I started in the profession. I didn't see anyone that really looked like me, and I had obviously come from a background where the majority of people that I knew were people like me. So I kind of came into the legal profession a wee bit blind, if I'm quite honest. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I didn't have all the contact. But as I was progressing, I was sort of looking around me thinking, I still don't really see very many people that look like me, and certainly not at a leadership level or people that I could look up to and say they are inspiring me within the legal profession. So that's something that I think the profession is trying to change. There's certainly a lot more diversity and inclusion now coming through the profession, which will then naturally turn to leadership eventually. And I think that's the point. It's not just about having role models, it's about having relatable role models. I think that's really, really important.
Definitely, I didn't have anyone in my family, and even going to school, when I went to university, I didn't have anyone that I could connect with really, but as I'm a Lawscot student, I was really lucky to be able to given loads of networking opportunities, so I was able to connect with people that way. So that was definitely fortunate for me.
And the people that you're connecting with, is that people who are maybe from similar backgrounds, or is it people that are from all different backgrounds?
They're from all different backgrounds, but they're open to help me. I had a mentor and she was great. She helped me with applications for traineeships. She'd look over them and stuff, and obviously like my mum and stuff, she wouldn't know particularly how to help me with that. Like, she's emotionally supportive but not academically.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well. I was the same, I had really supportive parents, but when it came to filling out university applications or going for traineeships, anything like that, they were there with all the emotional support and very importantly food. But the other stuff, it was quite difficult, and if you don't know where to get that guidance, it can be quite hard. My advice to someone who's looking for a career in the law would be to fully do your research at this stage. Find out about all the different types of laws that there are, find out the different sectors, find out where you think you might want to work, because that is really, really important, and there's no excuse for not knowing any of that information. It's widely available, but really research it so that you're coming in with the best advantage that you possibly can.
My advice is to be resilient and don't give up.
Great.